Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Force for Girl Show. I'm Ricardo,
And I'm Courtney.
and I
And
don't know if the music's too loud to hear our voice, but we'll figure it out and get the right sound for the next one. Ha! How you doing, Courtney Carr?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. So I always joke about what's, the hurdle you're trying to get over. It's Wednesday, time to tackle that. But yeah, I'm excited about our topic today
Ooh,
as we approach it. Hmm.
what are we going to talk about today, Courtney?
Our mysterious friend, the ego,
Wow.
and all that it entails. But what do you feel when we say that word? Like, what do you feel in your body?
See,
The
so I,
ego.
I I have a lot of different things about the ego, but first, I think there's always a little bit of ego is always good. That's my thought. A little bit of ego is always good because one point I would think that self-confidence came from a little bit of ego. You got to have a little bit of ego. You got to be a little cocky, like, oh yeah, I got that. I'm gonna do that. However, ego is false confidence. Self-respect is true confidence. Arr.
That is a very good quote.
So
Yes.
maybe I have been wrong this whole time that a little bit of ego is a good thing. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Is ego a good thing, a bad thing? Throw down your favorite quotes, your favorite thoughts about the ego, and anything that you have learned on this topic. What about you, Courtney Carr?
I give it a yes and a no because it can be trained to, well, no, okay. On autopilot, it works against you most often, but it can be trained to work in your favor. And, if left to its own device, the ego will come up with problems just to come up with the solutions, just to be the hero. So if you've ever been sitting there and like, I don't know, watching Netflix, doing your thing, having a good time, and a problem pops up in your brain, and then within a few minutes you've solved it because you panicked yourself into a solution, but then maybe you realize a few hours later that really never existed. The problem you just kind of made up in your head, or you're like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. Or you talk to somebody and they talked you back down, and we're like, no, don't worry about that. So that's an example of your ego creating a problem to solve it. And I think a lot of depression and anxiety and regret cycles that people are on that cause bigger things can be solved by looking at that formula right there. The ego creates problems just to be the hero that solves them. So that can eliminate probably 90% of the problems in your life if you look at it from that perspective. So that's my big thing on ego. So
What what role does social media have in the ego?
it has a lot. It can have a lot. Now, you can have your cliche and say it's a generation thing. You can say it depends on what you do, or if you are the type of person that spends all day on Facebook or blah, blah, blah. But there are good reasons to use it, and there are ways that you can use it in a addiction and can be unhealthy. So it can go both ways. So there's a spectrum there, but hopping on a few times a day, or staying connected with people or groups or communities you like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the world we live in.
I think that social media has made it okay to put your best life out there and not be totally honest.
I like that.
That's what I think.
That's a powerful point. Yes.
Because you don't really see a lot of people talking about the bad stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
However, you see everyone always celebrating the good stuff. And what I think is happening, or that happens the majority of the time, is that like people who are down on themselves only see the good stuff and presuppose that that's this person's daily life, which is not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the case. Life happens. Everyone has good moments and everyone has bad moments. and what we decide to showcase on social media are the good moments. And that's fine. That's kind of what it was designed for. It wasn't designed to be a boo-hoo show, right?
Right.
But at the same time, people see it and they're like, wow, this person has a glamorous life. And then they look at their life and they're like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm not having those kinds of experiences. And that's their ego yelling at them that they're not good enough.
Yeah. Like, how many times have you probably moved something in a picture, taken a picture for social media, and then like gone back and been like, oh, and moved something, or, I don't know, gone back and changed your shirt for a different look? That's an example of how we've all done it. And if you've done that, can you only imagine the degree of everyone else? So that there's just a level of polished perspective that person wants you to see on every post, and we all do it too.
I don't think it's intentional though. I
No.
don't think that the majority of people are out there, ooh, let me go brag on XYZ. Let me show people this. Let me show people that. Let me just brag, 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 brag. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just I don't know what it's called. Like just how social media is.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting look at how that's, if you don't judge it, if you just look at that person, that's how they want to be perceived. So that's also powerful to get to know a person these days, does that make sense?
It
I maybe
does.
just, it.
It does because people think they know you. Just in general, people think they know you
Mhm.
from social media, but they
Yeah.
don't really know you. They just know you through social media. And I think people are just like, but I know you. Oh yeah, I know you. I feel so connected to you. And it's like,
Yeah.
but do you really know me? Do you really know me?
Yeah.
Right? But it's what we're putting out there. Real
Yeah.
quick, a
Very
quote
good.
by Jillian Michaels: "A bad day for the ego is a great day for your soul."
I love that. Yes.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's a great one. Okay, so the big idea to me is that it's all a game of love and separation. It's all a challenge to come together either with yourself or someone else. Kind of, that's what life's about. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So ego is that representation constantly in our daily life that is there to pull you more towards separation. Whereas if you can step into your truth, your power, your, fill in the blank, whatever moment you're in your life, that is stepping into love, or, divine consciousness, or whatever term you want to use with religion. And so that's what that means to me. So if you think of it like a game, you notice those thoughts a lot more. And if you read books like The Untethered Soul that talk about that constant voice that's always there, if you listen to folks like Tony Robbins who talk about the mind, it's a ancient mind that has always had these type of panic thoughts that you're plugging into. It's not necessarily your authentic self, is all these panic thoughts. So that's the ego. So if you just look at it like it's a game, you can give the ego promotion and be like, hey, you've taught me all these crappy lessons that have been good for my soul, obviously, but you got a lot of mud on you going through the process. And then you can give it a promotion and be like, now you're going to be my assistant to achieving this goal. Or so just talk to it. But if you think of it as a game, it really takes a lot of the pressure off yourself.
Okay, so I have one that just came to me.
Okay.
Byron Katie, you can go to thework.com. She's doing live Zoom calls this week. So for a small donation or for free, you can join her live Zoom where she does these interventions based on her work, the work. So I tuned in, I donated to watch the one live today, but then I also got a chance to watch the replay yesterday. And this is something that she said, and I think it's going to be very fitting for what we're talking about here. So, we usually have an expectation for other people to do what we want them to do the way that we want them to do it, right? We have this expectation that Sue, Jan, Marshall, Marsha, Greg, Cindy, all these guys, right? That they're supposed to do what we want them to do, right? But then Peter goes off and does something totally different that we don't want him to do, right? I'm talking about the Brady Bunch if you haven't picked that up. So this lady on this call was having a problem with her daughter because she had these expectations for her daughter. And so what Byron Katie said was, because this lady said they have to do this, they have to do that, right? The lady said that. And then Byron Katie said, no, she doesn't have to do anything. That's your dream. That's your reality. Using them to fulfill your own dreams is selfish. Because your expectation for somebody is your own dream, and using them to fulfill your dreams is selfish.
Man.
I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's all about the ego. That's the ego over there telling you, like, hey, you know, Jan and Peter are supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
They have to. They have to do this.
The have to, the must, the need to, the make them. Those terms are all ego. That is red flag ego. Judgment, any judgment is red flag. That's ego playing games with your head.
Yeah.
So if you take a step back and there's no judgment on how anyone else can live their life, how can you tell them what they must do? You don't know. You know what you must do. You know your truth. So I love that.
Yeah, but I've never heard it worded like that. So needless to say, that was worth my $10 donation just to hear that one line. I was like, wow, that is so good.
Heck yeah.
You know?
And I forget what dream. That's the process, but who would you be without that thought?
Correct.
Like, who would you be as a person just watching their life versus a person being like, they need to do this, they have to do this. Like, you show up in love versus separation.
Correct. And I was I never thought about it that that's your dream. Setting an expectation on somebody is pushing your dream on somebody else and using them to fulfill your dream. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's deep.
On so many levels.
Yeah.
Woo. All right. So here we go. Another quote. I can't pronounce this guy's name. So if you can, Courtney, please feel free to jump in. When the ego is lost, limit is lost. You become infinite, kind, beautiful.
Yes. Well, I know the last two words are sing yogi. So, but that's true that if we are truly infinite, whatever religion you believe, whatever you choose to follow, if it's just in the success books you read, whatever, if you are limitless, if you truly are, then if you look at it, the ego is just boxing things up and separating this idea. And you can't do this without that, or you have to do this. All those are limiting thoughts. So if the thought limits you, here's a sign, it's ego. So if ego's showing up, it's there to test you. So you can access this, you can move through the same moment in life by just like taking a step back, taking a breath and being like, okay, how would I approach this more from the love side versus the separation? So anytime you feel like you can only achieve something in one way, that's ego. So it's not, the way you were raised or your mom or this or that. It's ego playing games with your head to try to limit you. So you think that's the only way, but that's the trick. That's a lesson. So
if you think you can only accomplish something your way, where your way is the only way, your way is only the only right way. Ooh.
Yeah. There are infinite ways to be right.
There are infinite ways to be right.
That's humbling even to say. So if this causes weird things in your body, we get it. But
we're like, that's okay. We understand if it causes weird things in your body. The ego gets me. It's come up with me before. It's on several occasions, and it's still something that I deal with from time to time, is the thought that I know that I am capable of doing something better than other people. But then it's just a thought and I don't do anything about it. It's like, oh, I could do that better than that person. And then I don't do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, on this conversation, this is coming up because I'm like, oh, that's like my ego wanting to be all cocky. But then why even say that if I know I'm not going to do anything?
Yeah. How limiting is that though? So
Very.
look at it like you are infinite, they are infinite, and one person's ego is saying, I am better than you at this. That might be a fact, but you have no idea what other skills they have, what other untapped abilities they haven't discovered yet in this lifetime. Whatever you want to be, woo woo or practical with it. Like that's, and if it's limiting you and you have that, you put those glasses on and look at your day every day like that, just it's like you're just walking through your life like eliminating opportunities left and right. It's on Monday's episode when we talked about the chaos theory. No, I'm using a different term where, the
Schrodinger's cat.
yes, thank you. Where it collapses when you decide is when it collapses
Nature.
into a outcome. And anyway, we'll put the link in the comments for that. I've already butchered this, so I'm going to move on. But basically, like you call it into action. So if you just look at what lens you're looking at that through, and if it's ego, it's limiting. So your outcome's not going to be as good as it could be if you kind of just don't judge yourself. That's ego too.
So
and
real
just put the
quick,
lens out.
Schrodinger's cat is this theory in quantum physics where the scientist named Schrodinger puts it's a thought experiment. So this didn't happen in real life. So for all my cat lovers out there, don't start freaking out. So he said that if you put a cat in a box with a toxic chemical and the toxic chemical has a 50% chance of spilling, that the cat has 50% chance of dying. And you don't know if the cat is dead or alive until you open the box. So therefore, until you open the box, the cat is in a state of what's called superposition, where it's both simultaneously dead and alive until you open the box and you collapse. One reality goes away, and there's only one reality of either the cat is dead or alive. But none of these realities exist yet until you actually take the action of opening the box.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this leads us to the thought that there are infinite possibilities in life on an infinite scale, and none of them will ever come to fruition or start to be anything until you decide to do something about it. So all these realities exist simultaneously until you make a decision. Mm-hmm. And then nature collapses once you make that decision because all those other possibilities go away for that moment. They might come back up later on, but for that moment, the possibilities collapse or go away once you make a decision for one possibility.
Mm-hmm. So
it's very deep stuff.
It is. So you could be, that's saying you could be 30 days away from making the exact same amount of money. You could be 30 days away from making, getting a huge raise. The possibilities are endless until, we decide. But that's a trick we are in. That's the ego. It tells you that this loop is your life and these are your capabilities and you have to live within this box and you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that unless you go to school for this. And all of that chatter is ego. It's just there to try to blind you from the actual possibilities.
Yeah. Let go of the ego, guys. It's what we're saying. If you want a limitless life, let go of the ego. If you want true confidence, let go of the ego. Mm-hmm. Ego is false confidence. Self-respect is true confidence. If you want to be limitless, man, you gotta you gotta lose that ego. And I'm saying that like that because, man, that's a hard pill. That's a big pill for me personally to swallow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It is. And thank the ego. You know, it also did get you through a lot of moments in life without you looking dumb to the entire world, or, you know, fill in the blank. There are things that saved you from, or times that raised your standard because you did care what other people thought, but just don't live there. Just thank it for what it did and learn the lesson so you can move on. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be good. Well, that's all the time we have for you guys today.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting conversation. And comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on the ego. What has your ego done for you? Because let's be honest, it served you in some way, but it's also held you back in other ways. Feel free to comment below. Reach out to me or Courtney if you would like to have this discussion in private. And we'll be back on Friday for another episode of the Force for Growth Show. Tomorrow is day 1 of the virtual UPW, so I'll have a little mini report on that and let everyone know how day 1 went on the virtual UPW. I'm looking forward to that. 20,000 participants will be on Zoom for the first ever virtual Tony Robbins event. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'll be reporting on Friday, and we'll also have a special guest on Friday to come and join us for an interview.
I'm excited.
Thank you so much for joining. And remember, you can go to forceforgrowth.com to subscribe to the audio version of this show or to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We'll see y'all Friday. Have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, my music's not playing. Ah, there it is. Oh, man, we really got to work on that. Bye, everybody.